So my favorite things to curate, I think it's hard to think about things in curating because for me, it's really about ideas. And I'd say some of the things that really make design interesting are how design can inform where are we headed, what does this mean for individuals of many different types, and what kinds of impact can it have. So it's probably more ideas than things. So I'm not sure that I'll have the most fulsome answer for this question because I didn't set out to become a curator. But what I would say is to be open and curious. I think that's something that led me into this field, was just kind of wanting to know more, wanting to discover, wanting to understand why something relates to something else, and how does it influence the way we behave and the way we think. So that's kind of how I walked into this as an activity or as a profession. On my curators playlist, there's Nina Simone, Laurie Anderson, and in particular Landfill, which is a album done with the Cronus Quartet. I really love the Liberation Music Orchestra's Song for the Whales. And then there's a podcast by Conrad Black and Trisha Rose. And then some basics that I always go to are kind of like Morton Feldman. Rothko Chapel is one of my favorite albums of his. And then there's a remix of Steve Reich by Howie B that's on my playlist. And I could go on, there's a lot, but those are kind of some samples. There's so much. It's a wonderful opportunity to meet all kinds of people and to really explore things that you hadn't thought about before. So I really love reaching out with kind of a question and wanting to learn more, and it turns into something that becomes a dialogue and then eventually becomes something that is part of an exhibition. So just that ability to find connections between ideas and people, and also being able to challenge the assumptions that I have, and to say, and to realize that there's something else, there's a different perspective out there. So those are some of my favorite things. Louise Bourgeois is definitely up there for me as one of my favorite artists. I've admired her strength and what she brought to her art in a very strong way for a long time. I love Alfredo Yar's perspective on observation in particular, and what he sees and how he's able to respond to what he sees. And Douglas Cardinal is a wonderful architect. I have to bring an architect in. I've been thinking about this, and I think one of the challenges with design is that it's all about how we frame the question. And so I was thinking earlier today about, like Robert Oppenheimer, who created the atomic bomb. That was created around constraints of a particular thing, but it became disastrous as an outcome. Carl Benz, who got his first patent for the fuel-powered automobile, and where that's led to the types of cities that we design, and all kinds of activities related to the culture that we live in cities. And so sometimes it's about the questions that we don't ask. If Carl Benz had thought about climate change, would he have created the same object? So I kind of landed on this thought of how do we explain humanity to aliens? Maybe it's an exchange, and maybe it is a vessel, something that holds something that human gives to someone else. And that could be food, that could be water, that could be ideas, but it's an empty vessel that is passed from generation to generation, but also maybe just from friend to stranger. So that's the best I could come up with.